Now, following on from last week where I spoke to you and especially the salon owners about accountability, this week I'm going to follow it up with what you do after you've held them accountable. And I'm going to speak to you about coaching. Not coaching from my level, about you coaching and assisting your teams. Now, last week we spoke about accountability and how many of you are running vanity or charity kind of operations where you just take enough money to continue to operate. And it was no small coincidence that the smaller operations had no accountability and the larger operations had good accountability. And that the smaller operations quite often were struggling to make money and the larger operations seemed to do slightly better. So what I want to say to you is, look, you've got to put your accountability in place. You've got to put your KPIs in place. We didn't speak about KPIs last week, but for those of you that are not familiar with them, KPI is just simply a key performance indicator. It's a performance indicator on the key things in your business, the things that are important to you. Now, you can apply a KPI to anything. You can apply it to how many rebookings you get a week, how many times the phone's going to ring before you answer it. But the key things are, of course, how much money each individual is generating, how many products they are selling, that kind of thing. And when you've got these key performance indicators, you then have to follow up with a management follow-up. You're the salon owner. You can't just give them the indicators and then look at them next year and say that you failed all year. You've got to look at them every single week with each individual. Now, what do you do then? Let's say last week you took me seriously, and I hope you did. I know a few of you did from the phone calls that I've had. I don't know how many of you in total took me seriously, but if you went out there and you decided, I'm going to get the team together and I'm going to tell them, look, 3 or 4 times your wages where we got to be, 40% is where your retail has got to be, 80% is where your rebookings has got to be, etc., etc., then great, well done on you, and you've made a massive step. Now, what you might have now found is that was great, but they haven't got a clue how they achieve those things. Now, KPIs in place or performance indicators in place, whatever you're going to call them, we're ready to go. The next part of this puzzle is you, the salon owner, and sometimes the salon manager, and it could be other key people as well, as I'll tell you in a moment. So the next thing you've got to do is manage them, okay? Or as I like to call them in salon, you've got to coach them, not like coaching at the level that I'm coaching at, but it's the same thing. You now need to assist each and every member of your team to reach their maximum potential. That's what I do when I come to you. I'm really coaching you to become a much better salon owner so that you grow the business. In the early days, we will agree actions that will grow your business together, but I'm actually developing you. I'm not actually developing your business. I'm developing you to develop your business. So you need to develop your team, develop your individuals so that they grow the sales that they contribute with. So let's say that they're now, well, it doesn't matter whether they accept it or not, frankly, but that you accept that each member of your team has to have a minimum of 3 or 3.2 or 3.5 their sales. This week, you should have sat down with each individual, not as a team, and said to them, okay, last week you should have taken, let's say, £1,000, and you took 400. What are you now going to do to get nearer to your target? Now, what you are doing is you're going to coach them. You're going to develop them. So maybe having this £1,000 target when you're at £400 is just too much of a jump for them and you to understand where you need to move to. Now, the fact that it is 3 or 4 times their wage isn't going to go away. You can't, put your fingers in your ears and make funny noises hoping that goes away. It's fact. It's staying at 3 or 4 times their wage that you've got to get to. But let's say at the moment they're doing 1.5 times their wage. Set a new KPI. Say, right, I need us to get to twice your wage within, say, 4 weeks. Okay, yes, we all agree. Great. Now, how are we going to do that? First of all, go to the member of staff, say, what are you going to do about it? And then secondly, once you've got some answers, say, okay, I can help you with those things. This is what I'm going to do to contribute. So now the stylist doesn't feel like they're on their own trying to get to a target they can't achieve. They feel as if both of you are trying to achieve the same thing. So you've got to be thinking, how can I now help this person achieve this target? Don't forget, next week you're going to meet them again. The following week you're going to meet them, and a week and a week and a week and a week and a week, and forever you're going to meet them every week. And they must continue to grow their performance. And they've got to do it by using their own initiative, but they've also got to do it through your support. So let's say, for an example, during this discussion, they say, look, I could grow my sales if I was a bit quicker on my foils. I'm taking an hour and 15 minutes for full head foils. I think with some extra training, I could get that down to an hour. Now, the ball is back in your court. You've now got to coach them. You've now got to do your part. This is where the team effort, this is where the management comes in. So now you've got to say, no problem. Why don't you book in 2 hours with me tomorrow, bring a model, I'll take you through some techniques. I'll have a look at what you're doing. I'll give you some tips and hints on how to go faster. Maybe you've got a great colour house. Maybe you've got a training academy for one of the colour houses within a few miles. Maybe you can phone them up. Maybe you can say, listen, I've booked in a full day's training for you over at the academy. Get over there when you get back. I'm expecting you to have increased your speed. You see, it's not now about just the individual. It's about you as a salon owner coaching these individuals. It could be other things. It could be something like maybe the retailing isn't very good. You could say to them, I tell you what, let's set up some video shots. Let's set up some role plays. Tomorrow afternoon, let's book an hour out. You and I will go through some of the things you need to talk about. Let's go through what your structure is for selling products. And then you can just coach them and say, oh, actually, look, you're missing this whole slot. You're supposed to be taking the product from the backwash to the workstation. You're saying the wrong thing at the till. What I want you to do is change the way you ask the client what they actually want at the till. Okay, so now you're coaching them. And instead of you now being a nail technician or a masseur stuck in the room all day, you're now moving into managing these stylists, these technicians, these therapists. Okay? You could send them on maybe courses, we said that. Online courses, maybe my online course for retailing. You could say, look, we haven't got time this week to maybe do your videos or do your role plays, but I'm happy to sign you up for Carl's online course. And it's 34 hours. So it's not. It's 12 hours or 14 hours actually, and 34 modules of individual retail training. Work your way through that course. Come back to me with any questions that you have as the course goes along. I know there's support from Carl as well. You see, you're helping them, you're coaching, you're both moving towards the same target. But that doesn't mean they're not accountable any longer. For example, let's say you wanted to do a colour training session. Make them accountable. Say, okay, I'll give you a £500 budget, sort out a colour training session within 10 days. Okay, and then the next Tuesday, when you're sitting down with them, you say, have you organised the training course? What day is it on? Have you booked it out in the thing? Have you let your customers know? Have you got cover? Hold them accountable. Get them working, guys. You are not running a vanity or a charity project. You could set them projects. You know, what you're doing is you're coaching them, you're developing them, you want them to grow, don't you, as people? You know, some of these people, you can actually grow them as your coaches. And again, in my book, I talk about identifying the most enthusiastic person in your business to be your retailing expert. Now, by rights, that should be you. The salon owner should be the most enthusiastic person. But maybe it's a salon owner. Maybe it's the salon manager, maybe it's the receptionist, maybe it's just some, new starter who's just loves the thought of increasing customer service and wants to make a name for themselves. So now, once you've helped and coached them, maybe through courses, maybe through training, maybe through videos, etc., you now have a mini coach in your salon. And so all the retail issues can go through that mini coach. Maybe you have salon trainers who are not the owners, that are a specialist on colour, say, or on skills. Then you can say, look, I want you to spend the next 4 Tuesday evenings with our salon trainer on, I don't know, on precision cutting, on waxing, whatever it is. You see, you're coaching them, you're supporting them, you're developing them. But don't do that bit on its own. Don't do that bit. Don't set up all the training, put them on courses, put them on my course. Don't just do the sexy part. You must go all the way back to the beginning and have the accountable part. You see, you can tie all of this up in their appraisal in many ways. So you should have an annual or a biannual appraisal where you sit down for, I reckon, about 1 to 2 hours, depending on how senior they are, and work through not only what have they achieved so far, because you would have been doing that every week, so it should be very short. But what are your plans for this year? As a salon owner, you'll have plans for them, I hope, development plans. Who's going to take over from your manager when he or she leaves? Who's going to do the maternity cover? Who's going to open your next shop? Who's going to roll out your next extended service? Who wants to be your colour champion? Who's going to be the next retailer? Do it in your appraisals, then you set them targets and you hold them accountable. Okay? This is where you've got to be specific about what their targets are, what are they accountable for, and now you must turn into a coach. You see, the best salons have the best teams. Now, when I say the best team, that doesn't mean a bunch of people all dancing around, all happy and smiley, laughing and joking on their phones, having a good giggle with their clients. That's not what I'm on about at all. The best salons are properly professional. They know what each individual knows, what to talk about, what their discussion is professional. Everything is heading towards one objective. Okay? Everything is heading to the objective of this client spending as much money as possible over the long term. There's nothing else you've got to do. What else is there to do in your business apart from make as much money as possible over the long term? And that means, of course, having the best customer service as possible over the long term. And having the best customer service as possible over the long term means having your services operated at a great level. So your colours are fantastic, your cuts are fantastic. And having your retailing products, having the right ones sold to the right people at the right time. It means being open when they want you. It means all sorts of things. Okay, so last week was about accountability. If you didn't see last week's, go back. It's on YouTube as well as my Facebook channel. It's called accountability, salon accountability. You must hold these people accountable. They must not be telling you what to do. They don't tell you that they're not selling products. They don't tell you that it's your job to get customers. Everything is their accountability. Everything is down to them to go and do. They get paid to go and generate as much money as possible. I don't know what you think they are there for, what they think they are there for, if it's not to generate as much money as possible. Unless, of course, you're one of these charities or vanity projects, in which case, I don't know why you're watching this. You'd best get back to your vanity project, guys, because this is what people who are trying to make more money for themselves, okay, to reinvest in the business, to invest and reinvest in their families, in their houses, in their properties, in their holidays, in their university, and the kids' schooling, whatever it is, okay? This is what this is about. So, accountability is the starting point. You must know what you want to achieve, and each member of your team needs to know what their part in that is. Once you've done that, you then have to drive them to achieve it, and that's through coaching. That's through giving them support. That doesn't mean you keep taking the monkey off their back. Okay? If you don't know what I mean by that, there is a book. I think it's called I'm not sure if it's called the 2-Minute Monkey. It's it's of the 2-Minute Manager series. It's a very tiny book. It'll take you 10 minutes to read, or 15 minutes maximum. It's all about when someone gives you a problem, you make sure you don't accept it. You give it back to them. So if someone says, "Oh, I need training on colour," you say, "Great, I agree. Here's your budget, go organise it." Don't say, "Okay, I'll organise it," because now as the salon owner, you've got even more work. All right? So you get accountability. You follow it up with holding them accountable, and you follow up with making sure that the responsibility for sales growth stays with them, but you've got to provide all the support. You've got to supply all the coaching at that level. It's just the same as I'll do with you. If you ever get me involved in your business as a coach or a mentor, I'll give you all the support that you need for you to grow, for you to succeed. I won't actually come and give you all of the answers so you just implement it, and when I go, you're not capable of continuing the growth. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, so if you want to know any more, maybe about retail, about accountability, drop me a line. If not, have a fabulous week, and I'll see you all again next Monday. Cheers, guys.